Hi guys, welcome back to Edgeway channel. So today in this video we will be dealing with the thermodynamic derangements in the body. So we'll be starting with the hyperthermia. Before going to the hyperthermia, we need to get some details about the homeostasis and thermoregulation in the body. So if you haven't subscribed our channel yet, feel free to subscribe and hit the bell button. So moving to the introductory part, mammals and birds maintain a relatively constant core temperature. Even when the external thermal environment shows extreme variations, they can relatively maintain a constant temperature. Such mammals are called as homeothermic animals. This homeothermic state is actually achieved by modifying the rate of the heat loss and rate at which heat is produced. So these two things are balanced by the body and they will be achieving a homeothermic state. So the body temperature is an indication or reflection of the balance between heat gain and heat loss. So let's discuss the heat generating system. So in our body, there are many systems through which we generate heat. So the first one is metabolic activity. So if at all we are having a standardized life or we are simply sitting, our body will be conducting many metabolism inside. Each and every cell will be conducting metabolic activity. So heat will be generated through each metabolic activity. Digestion of food. Digestion of food will be generating much heat in the digestive tract. Muscular movements. We are conducting many muscular exercises and rapid and sudden movements. So these will be generating heat. Next is maintenance of muscle tone. So moving to the heat dissipating system, heat loss system. That is conduction, convection and radiation. Evaporation of sweat, insensible perspiration, through body secretion and excretions, profuse salivation, exaggerated respiration, open mouth breathing, and moisture vaporized by respiratory tract. So let's talk about heat conserving mechanism. So in the body, there are heat conserving mechanism through which we will have a balance between heat gain and heat loss. That is peripheral vasoconstriction, postural changes, piloerection. Now moving to the shivering thermogenesis. How does heat will be generated? Through shivering. So shivering thermogenesis consists of involuntary periodic contraction of skeletal muscles. So this may be seen in adult animals which are actually hypothermic. So whenever animal go below the normal temperature, they will be having shivering thermogenesis. So what happens? Their body will shiver. Periodic contraction will result in increased heat production. Now non-shivering thermogenesis. Non-shivering thermogenesis, actually in neonates, large amount of brown adipose tissues present in the abdominal cavity, especially in the perirenal areas and around the large blood vessels at the inguinal and pre-scapular areas. So heat is produced by metabolism of brown adipose tissue. In the neonates, the brown adipose tissue plays a very big role in heat production. Through the metabolism of brown adipose tissues, heat is produced. This is known as non-shivering thermogenesis. So brown adipose tissue get converted to white adipose tissue by about 10 days after birth. So note, horses sweat profusely and is an effective mechanism of heat loss. Sweating is a less effective mechanism of heat loss in pigs, sheep and European cattle and all. Increased density of sweat glands on zebu cattle makes it more heat tolerant. That is, whenever it is getting more heat, it works through the sweat glands. So now moving to the main topic, that is hyperthermia, that is increased heat production. So hyperthermia is the elevation of body temperature due to excessive heat production or excessive heat absorption or due to deficient heat loss. So the best example is heat stroke actually. So moving to the etiology, that is high environment temperature or exposure to sunlight or poor ventilation. Severe muscle exertion, especially when the humidity is high. Other causes dehydration, excessive muscular activity as in strychnine poisoning or neurogenic hyperthermia due to damage of hypothalamus. So moving to the pathogenesis. A rise in temperature increases the heart rate actually, and this decreases the blood pressure due to peripheral vasodilation. What happens in the periphery? blood vessels get dilated. So pooling of blood happens in the periphery. What then the systemic general circulation, the volume of blood will be less. That leads to decrease in blood pressure. So respiration increases in rate and depth. At higher temperature, there is depression of the nervous system and death is due to respiratory failure. Moving to the clinical findings, initially there is an increase in the thirst and animal seems like cold places. It will be seeking for cold places. The initial sweating and salivation are followed by marked absence of sweating. The animal becomes restless, dull, stumbles while walking and tends to lie down. Abortion, embryonic mortality and infertility occur in prolonged periods of hyperthermia. This actually happens in brucellosis. So moving to the diagnostic part, history, clinical signs and examination of the environment. Clinical pathology, that is there is no characteristic changes in hyperthermic animals, but we can feel it or we can check it through thermometers. Necropsy findings vary with the severity of exposure. And in severe heat stroke, hemorrhages are seen in internal organs such as kidney, heart, GI tract, and testicles. So moving to the differential diagnosis. Simple hyperthermia, toxemia or septicemia. Treatment. Provide shade and adequate water to drink, prevent dehydration. Treat animals with IV fluids, 5% dextrose or NS. Wipe the body with a towel, cotton soaked in thermoneutral water. Cold water enema is also useful. Supportive therapy like fluids, beta vitamins, vitamin B, antibiotics, and antiemetics. Tranquilizing drugs such as chlorpromazine can be used in animals, those have to be confined under hot and humid conditions. Thank you.